also back to the mainland. As I mentioned before, that we are also on the island called Magerøya, which is being translated as Naked Island. You can see right now that we don't really have any trees. A couple of trees next to the houses, those are planted by people living in the houses, but naturally we don't have any trees growing here. It's really unique Arctic beauty here, and especially once the snow will start, you will see very clear far away. It is a little bit hard to adjust to this kind of off-season. Usually fishermen are going out in open waters starting from February, I would say even end of January, which is definitely very rush time, and it's also pretty physically demanding as it's still quite dark and cold in the open waters. And then now you can look to your left. You will see the stockfish here approximately by spring, summertime. It dries here exactly the same way as it's been drying here for many, many centuries. And then we ship it to other countries. Stockfish is codfish itself. It takes around 10 weeks to get completely bone dry. And it can be stored and kept in very good condition up to 10 years. I assume that you definitely tried cod before, but if you want to try stockfish, you can also find it in kiosks, supermarkets, and souvenir shop. It's very dry, there is no specific taste, but if someone drinks beer, you can just dip it in the beer and it's a very nice snack. Not really my style, I don't drink beer, I don't like stockfish, but it's worth trying at least once in your life. And some Norwegians also eat it with butter, that's a different level of course. Days with the tunnel, it is definitely way easier. And also, just in a couple of seconds, you will see the road going to the right, and it goes to the airport. Just imagine that we have a very tiny airport here. If you want to see the runway, you can turn to also look to the right, but we will also see it from, and pilots are quite professional because it is quite hard to land and take off here in the winter time. Summer was super hot. You can see tourists and of course locals swimming here. Of course, weather will shifted to the winter time. Now it's very low tide. You can see sand and you can see the stones as well. Sometimes it's so low that you don't really need the bridge to walk there. But normally, once we will be traveling back, the water will be rising. It's still amazing, and it feels quite high. Apart from our lovely city of villages, now if you look to the right, you will see houses. That's the entrance to the first fishing village called Hammerfest. And Hammerfest has also the biggest population. I would say up to 100 people, usually from 80 to 100. We don't have a specific amount of the biggest population on the island among the fishing villages. They also have a hotel there, a fish factory, and art gallery of a German artist. She's lived there for quite a long time, and she also has a gallery on the main street in the city. Now we're approximately 250 meters above the sea level, and then the top part is Nordkapp Plateau itself, which is 307 meters above the sea level. Again, doesn't sound that high, but it is amazing, clear view. And there is nothing ahead of the Nordkapp, just the North Pole somewhere there in the north direction. Of course, I would say the most important thing, to the right you can see the snow fence. It is very important that we have it here because it's hard to imagine. But just, I would say, by the end of October, it's going to be all white. Snow will stop. They don't have any close dates. In case of the really bad stormy weather, of course, no one will go there because the road is officially closed. But the building is open all the time. And of course, even there, in comparison to Gjesvær and Hammerfest, we usually say up around 50 people, from 35 to 50, most of them in the summer. And that's why Ireland is blooming, especially in the summertime. And we have very big fruits and music festival happening there as well in the summertime. So it is now a quiet time, but in the summer, lots of people will. We will take left. And you see the barrier and the red orange sign there. So in the winter we have with convoy driving because this last 13 kilometers from here to the North Cape are quite tricky. There's a lot of snow. The snowplow should be here all the time cleaning it, otherwise we will get stuck. Even the buses can get stuck. It's too much snow. Sometimes 3, 4 and more meters in a couple of hours. Also can see these red sticks on the sides. It just as a reminder that winter is just around the corner, because when it gets white and dark, you can only see the road by the sticks. You see during the daytime by red color, and then in the dark time you can see the reflection. That's how you see where you're going. Sami Sidas here on the island, and it's different Sami families that are staying here mostly in the summertime due to the climate. And here, because everything will be covered with ice and snow, there will be not enough food and not enough of natural shelter like trees, for example. It's very exposed here, especially in terms of winds. Therefore rangers are coming here in the springtime. Usually we use trucks or a boat to bring them to the island. And of course they are spending their summer vacation here, if I can say so. And then at this time of the year, or I would say middle October, they will be migrating back to the mainland. It's quite natural, quite quickly. And it's not only here, but it's overall in Norway, I would say. To your left, further ahead, you will also see the bird drugs of Gjesvær. Remember that I've said that we have bird colonies in the summer, a couple of millions of birds. The funny fact is this road is, again, I would say quite new. 1956. Imagine that all the travelers had to actually take ferries and climb over the hill before the road was complete. And soon we will see the bay. It is quite steep, personally for me, called Honningsvåg Bay, and we will see it shortly as well. There is still a hike path going all the way down, and of course it is quite beautiful still. And back in the days, that was the only way to reach these areas. The North Cape in front, and Honningsvåg Bay to the right. So imagine that today we didn't have to climb it, but that was quite a hike before the road was done. North Cape building itself is inbuilt inside of the mountain. So once you will be going through it, you will be walking through the real body of the mountain. And there's a movie about this island in 4 seasons. Lasts only for 50 minutes, 1-5, which is really good timing. Once you enter the building, you will see the timetable of the movie. Of course, they have souvenir shop, coffee shop, a restaurant, and all the monuments are just around the building. And the main one, the Globe Monument, is located on the opposite side. You have 2 ways. Either you go through the building straight, or once we park, you go to your left around the building and you will
So ungefähr.
som tar deg med på en reise gjennom de 4 årstidene på Nordkapp. Welcome to the Cape of Lights, an experience in light and sound that takes on a journey through the 4 seasons at North Cape. Willkommen bei Cape of Lights, einem Erlebnishaus.
24/7, it's just bright and bright. Maybe it's not even sunny much, but it's just very bright. Now also straight and soon to your right, another beautiful picture. And again, it's a little bit hard to imagine, but it's going to be white pretty soon. And we calculate the winter time here up to 7 months. I personally do it for 7.5 as well, because the snow, we already had it before, but as it's still plus temperature, it melts. And the first bus drivers and people with private cars have to change the tires to winter, because we already have ice and a little bit slippery roads in the nighttime. And this also brings me another question. Is winter going to be colder then? Or is it going to be postponed? As it's weird to see when the rest of the world is about to have summer, we still have winter here till the beginning of June. So the winter is quite long, but it's also quite delayed with the start and the end. Last year it was still snowing in the middle of May, and then just imagine that all snow is starting to melt at the same time, so it can be quite watery around the island. People warm inside, to have some resting and food is still the same. And they of course still use it also in the winter time, especially flowers. And overall they're quite approachable. You're gonna come as close as I would say, because you can see Aurora Northern Lights here. It's a viewpoint. But another adventurous part of this winter journeys is that you have to reach this area, because if the road closed, then but local people say, not only local but overall makes sense, people say that it's the smell of the money. Yeah. As we're approaching the harbor, I'd like to thank you for having us today with you on this beautiful tour. I hope you enjoyed the location and the way and the weather. It still looks perfect. I hope you have really good weather on the rest of your journey. Let's give a round of applause to Vidar, our good driver. And to me. Thank you so much. Important note, please go to the right boat. Now, because usually Hurtigruten have their own pier, now Otto is way far away on the cruise pier, so definitely your boat is just straight ahead now. Enjoy the rest of the day. You still have 20 minutes roughly before the departure. If you want to wander around a little bit, take some pictures, and you will see also a very small glass pop-up shop of the Sami ladies there. Maybe if you're interested to pass by as well on your way. Enjoy, and on the
Hãy sao sao mà ha. Enggak.
Møt på dyphavsvann. Crew 214, møt på dyphavsvann.
Deck 6. From Finnmark. When we talk about comor trade, it is first and foremost about the direct barter of fish with grain products. The most important commodity the Russians brought with them was rye in 1875. Even though the Pomars were popular among ordinary people, the Pomar
message for John Matthew Allen. John Matthew Allen, please come to that number 3 for the excursion. Thank you.
Magerøya colors of their eyes, so during a lot of them Montrose, and I think was Barents and then Botsfjord, where all the, so you just meet.